delighted to be here in Castledermot with the local history group, and what we're doing this evening is memories of Castledermot. So for our first show here as well, we do have the live audience. So I want to welcome the audience that we have here in Castledermot, and also to all our listeners at home. And thanks a million for coming back on and listening to us again. So this evening I'm joined by four very distinguished guests from Castledermot. I have ladies first. I have Kathleen Phelan sitting here on the couch, and beside Kathleen is John Horn, and to Kathleen's right is Tommy O'Connell, and beside me then is Michael Dempsey. So you're all very welcome, and thanks a million for agreeing to come on this evening. So folks, we're going to, basically the format is going to have a chat with our four guests. We're going to go through what it was like growing up in Castledermot back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and basically what it was like going to school, what they did, and we'll just take it from there. We'll see how the evening pans out. So anybody listening at home, feel free to throw up any questions that you have on the chat box. Tommy is here behind the scenes, as is Mick Brennan, and a huge thanks to the two lads here behind the scenes. So any questions that come in, we will get to them and ask the guests as well. And once I'm finished talking to the guests, we're also going to open the questions to our live audience here on the floor. So we'll kick off and we'll get going. So Kathleen, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to call you Kathleen tonight. I'm not going to call you mother, ma'am, or anything else. So Kathleen, you started school at the age of 4.
That's right, I did.
And can you tell us where was the school?
The school was here in the grounds of where we're sitting now, but closer to the Laurels wall. Very old school.
So it was in the grounds,
yes.
Sort of down towards the back end here, over like you say, over
not
towards
really,
centred over by the Laurels wall.
Yeah.
And it was an old school.
Very, very old school.
And how many rooms were in the school?
To my knowledge, and I could be correct, can be corrected on this, I think there was only 2 rooms, a large one and a smaller one, because we also used the billiard hall. Miss Crosby used to take the children across the road, her class, to the billiard hall.
Whereabouts was the billiard hall?
The billiard hall was over where the priest's house is now.
All right.
The new house that they built down there.
So it was a 3-teacher school?
Yes. And all of my primary school life here, I had the same 3 teachers. Mrs. Elmer was the principal, and Miss Sheehan and Miss Crosby. All
right. So one teacher then took junior infants, senior infants, and first class.
Yeah.
Then you had another teacher taking second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
And then the principal took fifth and sixth.
That's correct. Yes.
And when you used to come to school, like, was the school had a great central heating and
wonderful, an open fire that we all had to bring sticks to light. Anyone who could, from out the country especially, would bring some sticks to light the fire. Now there was turf supplied, but as well as that, if you could bring a sod of turf or a log or whatever, you did that, and the fire had to be lit to keep the place warm. And that was the only heating we had. We had no electricity, we had nothing, no water. Toilet was down the yard. It was very, very primitive altogether.
It was very primitive, but also back then it probably wasn't unusual to a lot of people to have an outside toilet.
Not at all.
And
Not at all.
It was actually commonplace.
Yeah, there's a time that was in it. Yes, you're so right. It was.
And at the end of primary school, there's a state exam that you used to do.
Yes, at the end of primary school, at the end of 6th class, you did your primary cert. And you got a certificate for it. It was a state exam. It was almost like what the leaving cert is now to people, you know, having come up through the school. Like everybody was terrified this exam had to be done, and at the end of that, like some people went to work, some had second level education, very few went on to third. A lot of people actually went to work at the end of that when they were 14.
And the school, of course, that was here, it was an all-girls school.
An all-girls school, yes, Sculmire and Galini. And the boys' school was the other end of the school lane in Carligate, and it was Sculmire and Mookally.
All right, I'm going to jump to one of the lads here, and they might tell us a bit about Sculmire and Mookally. Michael, you went across there to Sculmire and Mookally.
That's right, yeah. I went over there, yeah. Corporal punishment was the big thing I remember about it. Anytime he could get a belt, as he took it.
Yes,
and it took pleasure out of it. And it was an unpleasant experience, national school, where secondary was a different job altogether. I went to the tech, and it was like going into a new world.
Yes, yeah. Like you say, you know, corporal punishment was the big thing, and it was very common. Like, and it wasn't just in schools in Castledermot. Like this was commonplace.
This was in every school in the country, I'd say. We were lucky. The girls were very lucky, I'd say, in Castledermot. Mrs. Elmer was a nice woman and didn't believe in corporal punishment, but the lads, it was a different story over there.
Yes, yeah. And John, was it the same for you? Was it? Did you go across there as well?
I did, yes, I did.
And like, with your memory, would you remember the corporal punishment?
I certainly would remember it. I certainly would. It was unbelievable what we went through.
Yes, yeah.
Like Mrs. McKenna and Mrs. Flaherty was grand, up to 4th class. After that then, it was slaughtered. It was desperate what we went through. We were murdered for nothing at all.
Yes.
Oh, it was horrific.
Yeah.
Horrific.
And I suppose as well, like if it happened in school, and if you did get a clatter, get a box or anything else, like you couldn't go home and tell the parents about it, because back then, like the teachers were, you know, were the bosses really, weren't they? Like it was, if you went home and told the parents, they'd probably wonder, well, why did you get such a clatter?
Well, I was kept at home from school there was a fair in Castledermot, and I was kept at home for the fair. We had a couple of cattle in the fair, and I went in the next day anyway, and I got the stick, leathered with the stick, like, you know. So I went home at lunchtime, and my mother didn't let me back. I went in the following morning, and I got leathered again. I mean leathered now, absolutely. And my father went up anyway, and done serious work with Kilbride. Kilbride was the master that time. Horrific it was now. Horrific. It was people went in and they went in and they came back to me and they spoke about the time in the school with Kilbride. It was horrific now. There was no control over him.
Yes.
He murdered us, like, for nothing at all. We learned nothing.
Yeah. And Tommy, would your memories, Tommy, be the same of across the road?
We all got a few minutes, you know.
Don't forget your microphone there, Tommy.
Sorry. You know, good idea, right? Yeah, I remember I went across the lane there, that place. We used to be up on steps. Class would be triangle up on steps with a space underneath where the turf was. And you'd be sent in for turf, a couple of sods of turf for the fire. And you might have to kick a couple of rats aside when you go in. You couldn't have a battle with them first, but that'd be
yeah.
that's the way it was, you know.
Yes, yeah.
And some lads would go in there and they might forget to come out, you know, if they thought the teacher wasn't paying too much attention.
It might have been a safer place to be, was it?
A safe place to be in there. You couldn't get better. But your corporal punishment was everywhere that time. Thankfully now it's banned. You know, you can't hit somebody now.
Yes.
That time they were pretty severe. I remember one teacher, and you were talking about Mr. Kilbride there. Mr. Kilbride had a stick, like a bit of a golf stick or a golf handle. But there's another guy called Martin. I don't know whether anybody remembers or not. He had a nail on the end of the stick with the sharp end out. And he'd bend you over and stick it into your arse, you know.
Right. Wouldn't have been the most pleasant thing in the world,
No,
Tommy.
it would not. And he wasn't, you know, that guy was crazy. Thankfully he went away. I think he absconded.
Right.
But it was good riddance to him anyway, yeah.
And I suppose, just for clarity, Tommy, it's, and in case people get mixed up, it wasn't the Martin who ended up in the school here. Just for clarity for our listeners and anybody else, it wasn't that teacher who did.
No,
come
this
here,
is I'm talking 60, 65 years ago or more. You know.
Yes,
I am that old.
Well, you don't look it, Tommy.
Oh yeah, thanks very much.
And,
but that was it, you know. And
yes.
I remember, what was the name? Oh, Miss May was one of my teachers. I don't know if anybody else ever remembers her. She was a beautiful woman. The first woman I ever fell in love with was Miss May, my teacher.
And how old would you be, Tommy?
Pardon?
How old would you be now
About
when you
7.
fallen in love?
7, yeah. 7.
It must have been true love.
7 or 8, this was my first love, and she was gorgeous. I don't know what it was about her. And the sad thing is, she's probably dead now, you know.
Oh, God, that's dreadful.
Because that's a long, long time ago, you know.
A long time. That wasn't today or yesterday.
Wasn't on her the day before either.
Yeah. And you were telling me, Tommy, when I was talking to you as well, and John there was talking about Mr. Kilbride. And Mr. Kilbride had pigs, did he, in next door, was he? He lived close by, did he?
He lived, yeah, next door. No, I was never on pig duty, but some of the lads would be sent over to maybe feed the pigs or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
You know, I was never on pig duty myself.
You never got.
At this stage now, we would have been in the national school here.
Right.
I was a very short time over there before we all moved over here.
Right.
The ladies and or the girls and boys, and then they were separate. And then there was a Berlin Wall put up between them because
that's it. Yeah.
Two teachers were not agreeing with one another. So.
Yes. Yeah. So in 1952, this school here, the school that was here, opened.
Yeah.
And there was, like you say, there were 2 schools within the one building. You had the boys' school and the girls' school.
Yeah.
The girls' school had 4 classrooms, where the boys' school at the time only had 3. And never, like you say, never the twain shall meet. There was the Berlin Wall was put up between the 2 yards.
Yeah.
And you had the girls were one side; they had their own entrance and everything else, and the boys were the other.
It was co-educational until the teachers fell out. Then it had to be divided.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And Kathleen, I'm going to jump to you there now, and your memories of the moving into this school. You didn't have too far to go. The lads had to come all the way down that school lane, like, you know, and cross the road and come in. It was a huge move for them, but you just had to walk across the yard.
Just had to walk across the yard, yes, but it was like as if you had died and gone to heaven, if you could imagine the difference between the two. We walked in the door. The girls had their own entrance, which was the front door, as is now. The boys had an entrance door at the other end. They went that way. Like, there was no way we were going to see a boy during our school life here. And that was that. Either in the playground or anywhere else. But anyway, we came in that first morning we came in, and we were all ushered into a lovely cloakroom. So we all had a nice coat hanger with our own number, which was marvellous. Before, you had to throw your coat on the back of the chair. So you had your own number, you could hang up your coat, you could put the crown jewels in there if you wanted it. It was never touched. The teachers had their own room where they could go in and sit on their break times, have their lunch and their chat or whatever else. And then, just around from the teacher's room, was this marvellous, marvellous cloakroom with a line of toilets, a line of hand basins opposite with running water so you could wash your hands, and another fountain with drinking water. You pressed the button and this water shot up. So that was great. That was our introduction. And then the classrooms, we all had a nice classroom with storage heaters. No fire anymore. Gone were the days for bringing the sticks to school. So that was all good. We had that, we had electricity, we had all of that. And every Monday then, anyone who could was asked to bring a couple of coppers to school to help towards the upkeep of the electricity, I suppose, for the stuff we had. And all of that would be collected and brought down to Mrs. Elmer's room. And then she would select 2 students to go across to Cannon Cotter with this money. And then everyone would be shivering afraid they'd be asked, because everybody was afraid of Cannon Cotter. Because he was deaf and you had to shout, he'd shout, and then you had to shout back to him. So you were terrified. But he was very, very nice. If you were lucky enough to be going over with the money, he'd always give you an apple or an orange, or you never came back without something.
Very good,
Great.
yeah. So that money was brought in then every single Monday.
Every Monday, yeah.
And,
now, it wasn't a huge amount of money, but I mean, it was, a couple of pence.
Yeah, and like you say, there was no pressure put on people.
No. Anyone who could afford it.
And
Maybe that little silver threepenny bit with the hair on it that probably some people remember.
And did that money just go, was it just contribution to the parish, or?
It was a contribution towards the upkeep, I suppose you'd call it now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Towards the upkeep of
I mean, as a child, you just brought it and threw it into a basket, and that was that. And nobody took any notice of who was putting it in or who wasn't.
Yes, yeah. And the school day, the school day, was it long, was it short, was it?
The school day was from 9 until 3. Or 9 until 2 if you were in the junior classes. But when I moved into this school, I think I was about in 4th class.
Right.
When I came in here.
And it was the same for the lads then, I take it as well, was it, Michael?
Much the same.
Yeah.
My longest memory of this school would have been a punch-up between 2 teachers here in this particular room. They didn't get on too well, and it was over this money that was supposed to be come in for the upkeep of the school, and Kilbride didn't believe in that we should have to pay anything. And the other teacher was a Mr. Casey, and he was walking up and down. Kilbride came in to stay and stood at the top of the class and challenged him to stop, and Casey stopped, and Kilbride gave him a right hook straight away, dropped him, and he got up and he put down the head and charged Kilbride, and they had a right good punch up for about 2 or 3 minutes. It seemed a half an hour to us, but it said it was about 2 minutes.
And you all cheering on, were you?
We all cheered. Ger Green grabbed the bag and headed for the door.
Good lad, Ger.
I think he got an elbow from one of them as he passed by. But there was a big inquiry into it afterwards, and the department were brought down, and we were all brought in as witnesses. And the sad thing about it was that the 2 teachers involved were in the room while we were being questioned on the incident itself, which was unfair, really. And,
yes, definitely, yeah.
That happened. But the lads that went home for lunch, their parents knew this was coming and didn't let them back after lunch. But we were there for the long haul, and so
yeah.
We thought it was great.
Yeah, and I suppose then with having the teachers there, you were watching again then what you were saying, because you didn't know what had come.
You didn't know what was going to happen the next time you went in. No, exactly.
Yeah. And I suppose, what was the outcome of that in the end, Michael?
Well, the rumour was that Mr. Casey got a principalship somewhere else down the country. We never knew where it was, but that was the rumour.
Right.
To keep him quiet. But the local man here held his job.
He stayed on and stayed on for many a year afterwards.
Many years after.
Yeah. He actually retired. I was in junior infants when the end of my junior infants is when he retired out of school.
You were probably lucky.
I was.
Yeah.
Kathleen, I've a note here that the older classes learn needlework.
That's right, yeah. When you went into 5th and 6th class, when you went into Mrs. Elmer's room, you were doing needlework, sewing, knitting, how to put a patch on something, how to do the various stitches, you know, hemming, running, all those stitches, and knitting, how to knit a pair of socks.
And then this knitting pair of socks came in very handy, because I know the priests nowadays mightn't appreciate this, but the lovely pupils of Sculwira na Galini here in Castledermot, you made a lovely presentation to a retiring priest.
We did indeed. Mrs. Elmer suggested, this priest was leaving the parish, that all of the students, that we would knit him 3 pairs of black socks. So she got the wool, we all had our needles, and we did the socks. Everybody was allocated what they were to be doing with them, and all 3 pairs were being knitted at the same time. And you had to turn the heel and shape the toe, and everybody was allocated whatever they were doing. The socks were made, they were really lovely. Mrs. Elmer pressed them, and they were presented to the priest. Handmade by the students.
Very good, very good. I'd say they were delighted with them, was he?
I don't know. I have no idea if they were ever worn.
He took them anyway.
Yeah. Or if they fitted.
Yeah. And John, your memories of moving into this school from across the school lane. You finished across.
That's right.
All right, right. And what about you, Tommy? Did you come across?
Oh, I did, yeah.
And did you have something similar, like to Kathleen there? You know, just the facilities, I suppose, that were here.
Yeah, well, I didn't notice much difference from the one. You should have, but we weren't. I was only 1 year across the lane, so I spent most of my time here. But you're talking about Canon Cotter there. I was the altar boy for Canon Cotter, and Mickey Byrne, Snigger as we called him, he was the other altar boy. 2 of us were Canon Cotters alone, and I think Father Neenan was the curate. And we had more power than Father Neenan had. He didn't count at all. We did everything. And every Saturday we came in and we straightened all the seats. Our job to come in. He'd supervise it, do all the seats, make sure they're all level, straight, do them all, go up to the gallery, do the same. And one job I had was to lean over. Do you remember, people might remember the front gallery. There was a clock on it.
Yes,
yes. And my job to lean over, open the front of it and wind it. Nobody else was allowed to do that, because there was, you wind it too much and never go again. But I was winding it one day, and it wasn't my fault. I leaned over the usual, I'd done it 100, 200 times, and I opened out the face, and as I opened it, it fell out of my hands. And there was a woman walking underneath, and it crashed right at her heel. It was the closest I ever seen to somebody getting really hurt, you know.
Yes, yeah.
But she knew. I don't know how she recovered from it or anything, but it was put back up again anyway, because I was still winding it. Because I remember that time, Canon Cotter, he used to go to Tramore every year in his holidays, and we were up winding the clock this Saturday, and I wound it away, leaned over, wound it, and he says, nobody is to wind that clock until I come back, only you. Nobody else. I said, yeah, okay. That's Canon, I call him, yeah. So he went to Tramore, but he died suddenly on his holidays in Tramore. Remember, he used to drive a big black Somerset. I think it was a Somerset. And it was sold afterwards, and the O'Shea's of Knocknacree bought it. And Tommy O'Shea was commonly known as the Canon. Right. And most people wouldn't know why he got the name the Canon, because he was driving the Canon's car. So for the rest of his life, he was Canon Shea. That was it.
Very good.
So that was it. But,
and tell me, Tommy, did you obey his command then? Were you the only one ever to wind that clock again?
Well, nobody ever. I don't think I ever wound it again. I don't know. Maybe it was just abandoned. Maybe it was taken down. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe the whole gallery was taken down. But I don't ever remember winding it again.
That's it. So you
I probably went out in sympathy with him. He was gone, so I probably bailed out as well.
you bailed out. You bailed out as well. Yeah.
But every Saturday, Mickey Byrne and myself would get a ½ each from him on a Saturday, which was nice money at the time. Because I used to get another ½ from my father and used to go to the Curragh on the strength of it.
Right.
5 shillings to get me through the Curragh. 6pence on a horse, you know. But he was generous like that, ½ each. Lord have mercy on him.
And like Kathleen said earlier there, that he was deaf.
He was deaf, yeah.
And I believe heading into the confessional in the church, I
Yeah.
believe that used to be quite amusing when somebody.
See, the priest before him, I barely remember, was Father Lillis. Boys here, the older men here would remember him better. Father Lillis was very deaf. And do you remember David? Do you remember Miss Harrison used to work in your place? Harry, we used to call her. She lived there. She was in the little office where they pulled the cord and everything went down to her. But Miss Harrison went to confession one day, and she was deaf. And that time the side aisle would be full. So Harry was in anyway, and she was trying to whisper, and he was deaf. But what she wanted to tell him was this horrendous sin that she had committed. She'd kissed a man.
Right.
And she kept saying slowly, I kissed a man, Father. And he said, what? Speak up. I can't hear you. I kissed a man, Father. And so this went on and on. And of course, at this stage, everybody outside had ears up, waiting, what the hell is this? Yeah. What's this sin? And he said to her, I can't hear you. He shouted at her through the grill. I kissed a man, Father. I can't hear you when you talk up. So eventually she kind of forgot herself and she shouted out, I kissed a man, Father. He was made up. And of course, everybody outside erupted with that.
Yes, yeah.
I kissed a man. Harry, poor Harry.
Yeah.
Miss Harrison. The boys used to put mice and everything in there. What was the thing you pull and it went down to her? So the boys in the hardware and that to be sending down dockets and money and put a mouse in it maybe. It screams out Harry.
Yes, yeah. As you would back then.
As you would back then, yeah.
Practical jokes.
Especially back in Copes with all the reprobates there.
Oh no,
most of them mans.
That's it, and it was similar then, Kathleen, with Canon Cotter in the confessional, that if you were in the church and someone went in there to say their sins, the whole church knew what was happening.
Everybody knew. People would go in and they tried to avoid going to that side. They'd always try and go over to where the curate priest was. And if that was happening, he'd come out and he'd let her roar for half you to come over here, and out over you had to march. And that was that. And then he'd be, speak up. What's that? What did you do? Oh, it was mad.
Very good. So, primary school. So y'all went through primary school. Whether like John finished across the way. The rest of you ended up coming into the new school here, and you all did the primary cert that Kathleen talked about there earlier. So then we were on to secondary school. So in Castledermot here we had the vocational school, and how many did you go to the vocational school, Michael?
Yeah, I went to the vocational school, and it was the best schooling I got. And there was 3 great teachers there, Mr. Hunt, Tig Hayden and a Miss Harris. And Mr. Hunt taught woodwork and mechanical drawing and I think maths. And Tig would have taught Irish, English and maybe geography. Miss Harris was domestic science. But they were all good, and we were important there, and we felt we were important. And there used to be Cayley every Wednesday evening, and we used to look forward to that. And we'd have to get up and dance for the girls, and that was great sport.
Yeah.
And another thing that Tig Hayden on Toastal was started as a festival, a national festival at the time. And Ty organised it here in Castledermot, and he taught us to march, and we marched up and down the street. Don't know what the purpose of it was, but we did it anyway.
You did it, yeah.
Yeah, and it was great. Like the Tech was a great school. The vocational school, we called it the Tech.
The Tech, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great school.
And Mr. Hunt was like you say, was a great man, and he was a great man for encouraging the young lads to go on and take up apprentices. And
yeah, he was. Yeah, like there was lots of lads got on very well. The first thing he was selling was the Army Apprentice School, and there wasn't that many takers of that, but there was a lot of lads. Tony O'Shea, Sean Bryan, Tom Clowry all went in and got apprenticeships in Irish Sugar in Carlow, Liam Currig, and they all did terribly well, and all doing well now at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And John, did you go across to the vocational school?
No, my mother sent me to Christian Brothers in Carlow.
All right. Just hold up the mic there, John, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sorry. I went to the Christian Brothers in Carlow, cycled every day.
Right.
But I was lost because I left here in 4th class, and that was it. I knew nothing.
Right.
So I lost out. I should have went to the Tech instead, you know.
Yes, yeah.
But my mother said she'd send me to the Christian Brothers. They were very good, but you were in there at 9:30 in the morning, or 9:15. And if you weren't there at 9:15, you got the leather.
Right, yeah. So your experience of the Brothers was completely different to Michael's experience of the vocational school.
Yeah, well, I was lost. I mean, I left it 4th class. That's all I knew from 4th class.
Yes.
As I said,
yeah.
Kilbride didn't teach us after that. People went to England down through the years, and they're still coming home and talk to me about Kilbride, what they went to school. They went to Levistown, they went to Kilkee, they went to Moon, they left.
Yes, yeah.
It was horrific now.
Yeah.
You couldn't describe, it was horrific, absolutely. He was an alcoholic.
Right, yeah.
He murdered us. And his wife was a lady now.
Yes, yeah. And Kathleen, you got up on the bike as well and headed south to Carlow.
I sure did. My mother decided she'd keep me in a non-boys school, so I wasn't going to be in a co-ed, and so the nuns were for me. I wasn't the only one. There was a lot of us from the town went on bikes. There was 2 lads going to the Christian Brothers when I was going, and about 10 girls of us going on bikes to Leo's. And we'd all meet down at Farley's and carry on.
Right.
Very little traffic on the road. It was very safe. I mean,
Very
you could
little
cycle
traffic,
2 or 3 abreast, and you'd hardly ever see a car. You know, it was very, very quiet.
Yes, yeah.
And again, we went to school. We'd be in for 9. We finished at 4. And we had a half day on a Saturday, believe it or not, in the beginning. We had to go in on Saturday morning as well. So it was 6 days in and out on the bike. Winter and summer, didn't matter.
Rain, hail, or
Hail,
sunshine.
rain, or shine, as my mother used to say.
Yeah. And you did tell me there that there was on very, very bad days that Paddy Farley used to give you a lift.
Yeah, he'd bring Patricia and myself in, and Patricia's bike and my bike would go up in the boot of his car, and he'd drop us into school. He was very good on a really bad, windy, it would have to be very bad now, but he did it many times, and I've never forgotten it to him.
Yes, yeah. And tell everyone, Kathleen, the story about breaking the pedal off the bike.
Oh, well, as I said, we'd cycle in the rain and everything else. Now, we had rain gear, we'd have a cape and rain pull-ups and all that. But I, in my wisdom, decided I'd bring an umbrella out of the house one day. Unbeknownst to my mother, I brought the umbrella. So I was cycling along with the umbrella up over me and had gotten almost into school safely. And just over the railway bridge, going down the little dip there, didn't I clip the side of a pole, took the whole pedal and cranked the whole thing off the bike. Didn't hurt myself, just cleanly broke off. So I was within walking distance of school at that stage. And when we came out at 4 o'clock, the other girls between them decided, you get up on the bike and we'll push you home. And that they did, pushed me the whole way to Castledermot. But it was another story when my father came in and saw the bike. what happened to that bicycle? What did you do? How did you do that? I said to him, I ran into a pole, a telegraph pole. How in the name of God could you do that? He said, with a new bike. How did you do that? So anyway, I had to tell him I had the umbrella. I wouldn't tell him a lie. And I didn't go out with an umbrella anymore, and he had to go down to Johnny Horns, and Lord have mercy on Johnny, and get the bike fixed for me for the next day. And having said that, the man did fix it for me for the next day. So that was that.
Brilliant, brilliant. And Tommy, it was, I suppose, did you go to the vocational school here as well?
No, I went to Dublin.
You went to Dublin?
Turrenure. Border.
Right. And what was that like?
It was all right. It wasn't great now.
Right.
No, a little bit. Not much difference between that now and Mount Jai.
Right.
You were locked up for weeks on end, you know. You didn't.
Yes.
And the day boys were all going home every day, and you were going. Yeah, it was okay though, you know. It was a rugby school. I wasn't very good at rugby. I played a little bit. My brother John was very good. He went there as well. A lot of people from Castledermot went there. John Bean, the Elmers, all the Elmers. And it was okay, yeah. He missed probably the pals from school, you know. That I made new ones up there, and good pals now. It's still to this day, you know, that I met up there. But yeah, parents sacrificed probably a fair bit to send me there, so I shouldn't really be complaining, you know.
Yes, yeah. And it was, I suppose it was commonplace, or like for parents back then, thought that the probably the best places to send their children were to schools that were either run by priests or run by nuns at the time, because they were seen as being basically the head of societies.
Yeah.